How are we doing, everybody? It is Coops Hoops, and today we're going to be looking over some hypothetical trades. So let's get right into it. First one we're going to look at here is Detroit goes big and requires Lauri Markkanen from Utah. So the Pistons are giving up Joe Harris, Jaden Ivey, and two unprotected first-round picks for Lauri Markkanen and Simone Fontecchio. If that's how you say his name. I know who it is. I live in Utah. I just have no clue how to say his name. But I don't like this trade for really either team. I don't like how... the Pistons need a two-guard right now, and I don't like how they're giving up Jaden Ivey. I think that there's a lot of progression that could be made from him, and I think that giving up on him right now would be a little bit premature, especially for them, and then giving up two unprotected first-round picks for Lauri Markkanen, who was an all-star, is a little bit... I would say is a little bit too much to give up for a Lauri Markkanen at this moment. He is young, young-ish, but I think this trade just doesn't really serve either of the teams very well, because I don't think the Jazz really want to get another shooting guard when they don't have a point guard. I think their biggest want here would be a point guard, and this doesn't really give them either of those things. So this trade, I think, is pretty trash. So let's keep going. The Cavs swap for defense, and the Knicks upgrade. Grizzlies get their center, and the Raptors rebuild. So the Grizzlies get Jared Allen. The Knicks get Pascal Siakam and Otto Porter. The Raptors get Evan Fournier, Steven Adams, Ricky Rubio, David Roddy, Kenny Lofton Jr., a first-round pick unprotected from the Knicks. This pick that's from Phoenix or from Washington. I don't really know how that works. 2 seconds from the Cavs, a top 5 protected from the Grizzlies, and another second from the Cavs. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3 first-round picks and 3 seconds for the Raptors, and the Cavs get Julius Randle. So let's just break this down for every team. The Grizzlies, they get the center that they need. They've been lacking in the center department ever since they lost Steven Adams for the whole season. So we're looking at a situation where the Grizzlies get a guy that can finish out possessions. That's been their biggest downfall so far this season, is that they can't finish out their possessions by getting rebounds on the offensive and defensive side of the floor. So this, for the Grizzlies, I think it's really good. But they're giving up Steven Adams, who's not going to play. They're giving up David Roddy and Kenneth Lofton, who are both playing big minutes for them so far this season. And they're giving up two first-round picks in this trade. Is that a lot for Jared Allen? Yes. Is he going to finish out possessions for you? Yes, but he's making a hefty amount of money, and you're giving up guys that are playing big roles for you. Yes, Steven Adams getting old, but I think giving him up right now, especially during this year, and giving up these many first-round picks for him is a little bit interesting. I think a route that they could go instead of trading away all this stuff is... And I don't want Grizzlies fans to come on here and be like, this is an awful idea. But I think this year they've already started out pretty slow. I think a situation here for the Grizzlies could be not tank, but not be the best. Get a lottery pick. It's kind of like what the Warriors did that one year when Steph Curry and Klay Thompson were injured. Just kind of chill and get a first-round pick. Get a guy like a Kuminga, or get a guy that can impact for you for next year. But I think this trade for the Grizzlies is giving up a little bit too much for a guy like Jared Allen. And so let's move on to the Knicks. The Knicks get Pascal Siakam and Otto Porter, and they give up Evan Fournier and Julius Randle and a first-round pick. I think this trade really does nothing for the Knicks. I think they get a guy in Otto Porter that can definitely help them, but I think Pascal Siakam and Julius Randle are somewhat similar players to me. Pascal Siakam, I think, is better on the defensive end and is a better three-point shooter, but Julius Randle has been All-NBA pretty recently, so I don't see this trade for the Knicks really doing anything for them. I don't know why the Knicks would do that. And then the Raptors are blowing it up in this trade. I wouldn't even say blowing up. They're just getting rid of Pascal, but they're getting back Evan Fournier, Steven Adams, Ricky Rubio, David Roddy, Kenneth Lofton, and a hefty amount of picks. If I'm the Raptors and this is on the table, 100%. If this is on the table, I'm 100% giving up Pascal Siakam and Otto Porter for this. They're getting guys that are young on small contracts. Ricky Rubio, who's on a small contract. Steven Adams, who is out for the year and then has one more year. And then Evan Fournier, who has one more year after this. And he's wanted to get traded for a while because he hates Tom Thibodeau. But yeah, I don't really understand why the Knicks or the Raptors wouldn't want to do this. They get a hefty package for Pascal Siakam. So if I'm the Raptors, I'm 100% doing this. And then the Cavs get Julius Randle. Why they would do this, I don't know. I think the Cavs don't need more points. They have a guy like Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and they can get buckets. I think what they need is wing play, and he doesn't provide you with a lot of wing play. If anything, now you're having to move Evan Mobley to the 5, and he doesn't want to play the 5. So the Cavs, this doesn't make any sense for them. And yeah, I think this trade for the Grizzlies is good in terms of getting a center, but I think they're giving up way too much. The Knicks, they're not doing really anything except for getting Otto Porter. And the Cavs, it just doesn't make any sense for them to get Julius Randle, in my opinion. So let's go on to the next one. The Bulls blow it up. Hawks get defensive insurance. Clippers pivot from Harden. They're already trading away James Harden? Let's look at it. It's already failed, so this trade's pretty interesting. The Hawks get Alex Caruso. The Clippers get DeMar DeRozan and Bogdanovich, which I don't like for them already. I'm not even going to look at this trade because the Bulls get... This isn't possible. The Bulls are getting way too many players that have to release like their whole team. So let's get off this trade. The Warriors back in the title race. Let's look at this one. The Warriors get Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams, and the Trailblazers get Chris Paul, Moses Moody, and 2026 top 3 protected pick from the Warriors. I think this trade's pretty interesting. I don't see a world where the Warriors would do this trade. Chris Paul has been playing an amazing role for them, and Moses Moody is still developing, and he's been playing pretty well as well. I mean, he's struggled shooting the ball so far this season, but Moses Moody is a guy that can continue to develop for them and kind of be a little bridge between the Steph Curry to the next generation that they're going to bring in. So for the Trailblazers, if I'm looking at this, I get Moses Moody, but you're also clogging up that backcourt position even more because they already have a whole logjam, but now you're bringing in Chris Paul, which it would be kind of tough if the Warriors did trade Chris Paul because, you know, he's in his probably last couple of years and you're trading him to a team that's not really competing right now. But I think this trade's pretty interesting. I think the Warriors don't really need a guy like Robert Williams. He's just a more injury-prone version of Kevon Looney, in my opinion. But this trade's pretty interesting. I think the Warriors would benefit from a Malcolm Brogdon. I think he is better than Chris Paul right now. But I don't see why the Warriors would do this trade. And let's do one more trade. Actually, you know what? I cooked up some of my own trades. So let's go to this one. This one's my favorite trade that I see on the market right now. I haven't seen a lot of buzz around it, but we're seeing a situation where Zaire Williams and Kenny Lofton go to the Trailblazers in a first-round lottery-protected pick for Robert Williams from the Trailblazers. Why I think it's a good trade for the Trailblazers? They get some young guys that they need, but they already have a guy like DeAndre Ayton, and Robert Williams is too good kind of to sit in the backup position, I think, personally. And then they also get another first-round pick. Of course, it's lottery protected, but this is all a waterfall from the Damian Lillard trade. But the Grizzlies really, really, really need a center. And yes, Robert Williams is injury-prone, but he can finish out possessions, and I think he would fit perfectly alongside Jaren Jackson Jr. I think this would bolster their defense even more. So yeah, I think this trade is pretty solid for both teams because the Trailblazers don't really need Robert Williams, and they could get some young guys. Zaire Williams is playing okay this season. Kenny Lofton is just kind of a wild card, and then you just stack another pick from that Damian Lillard trade. So I think this pick is pretty solid, or this trade, I mean, is pretty solid. And if we move on to this one is a little bit less realistic, I would say, but I actually like it. So let's look at it. The Mavs get Karl-Anthony Towns, and they're trading away Tim Hardaway, Rashawn Holmes, Maxi Kleber, a second-round pick, and an unprotected first-round pick. I think this is what the market value is right now for Karl-Anthony Towns because the Timberwolves don't have a lot of leverage. They're in a situation where the Rudy Gobert and Karl-Anthony Towns experiment is not working, but if they trade away Rudy Gobert, they're going to get, I don't even think they're getting a first-round pick back for Rudy Gobert right now. And they traded away, 5 to get him? So I think this is a situation where you want to get some value back in a trade. So you're definitely going to trade away Karl-Anthony Towns, who's been struggling. So I think the Timberwolves give up one of their best wings and some guys that are okay for them. Rashawn Holmes, I don't think has been playing that many minutes for them, especially since you have a guy like Derek Lively who's been playing a big role for you. But then you get a guy like Maxi Kleber who isn't going to do much. He's not going to do much on the Timberwolves. I think his role is very specific to the Dallas Mavericks because he plays so well with Luka. But the Timberwolves do get a second and a first round pick back for Karl-Anthony Towns, which I think is actually a pretty good haul for Karl-Anthony Towns, because there's a situation where I think that they could get no first round picks, especially an unprotected pick. So yeah, I think this trade's pretty good for them. So let me know what you think of these trades. Throw some trades in the comments, and I'll look over them, and maybe I can respond to them in a different video. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. It's Coops Hoops out.